What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. It's time to talk about the Raptors, who have not only clinched a playoff spot, but also are currently sitting fifth in the Eastern Conference. It's time to talk about Masai Ujiri, who has been at the end of receiving a lot of criticism. And there's a lot of talk this offseason about the Raptors and whether or not they should rebuild, they should blow it up and build around some of the younger players. But it seems like the Raptors continuously prove everyone wrong. And Masai Ujiri is responsible for the roster that has been put together, which is currently what we're seeing right now. So for today's video, I'm going to break down some of his moves and how he has continuously proved the NBA wrong time and time again. So if you're ready to watch this video, make sure to hit the like button. If you want to hit the subscribe button, that'd be awesome as well. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel. And for today's video, the shout out goes out to, again, I do apologize, I cannot read Japanese, but thank you to my Japanese friend. Arigato gozaimasu for supporting this channel through likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. Now let's focus our attention on Masai Ujiri, who has been criticized quite a bit in the past, not only this offseason for some of the lack of moves he's made, but also in the past when he traded for Kawhi Leonard. There was a lot of questions as to why you would trade for someone who, first of all, was injured, did not apparently want to play in Toronto, and we know the rest is history. The Raptors won the championship. I got my Raptors championship banner back there, but let's talk about the Raptors' moves this offseason, which proved to be absolute amazing moves made by our management. Now let's start off with the first move, which was drafting Scottie Barnes. Now this draft move was questioned by a lot of experts. A lot of fans were not happy with the pick initially because they thought Suggs would be that player that could potentially replace Kyle Lowry once Kyle Lowry was moved. Obviously, Scottie Barnes is in the running for Rookie of the Year. A lot of those talks we heard about offseason moves that the Raptors had made, and that being in particular, whether or not that was the right move, I think that's a discussion of the past. Now, Scottie Barnes has looked very impressive in his rookie season, and well, Jalen Suggs has not. And he's also dealt with a lot of injuries as well. So it's fair to say that Scottie Barnes was the right pick, but he's also fit into the Raptors culture very well. And moving on to some of these other moves that were also criticized by a lot of people was that Kyle Lowry trade. A lot of people were saying we could have received more, but let's talk about Precious Achiuwa, who was the main piece coming back. Now, of course, Goran Dragic did not play at all, but Precious Achiuwa has looked amazing in only his second year. We need to remember he is a very young player who's only really playing his full first season in the NBA because he barely played with the Miami Heat last season. And seeing what he's been capable of doing, not only on the offensive side, he's giving you jump shots, he's throwing some three-pointers that are going in. His three-point percentage has been on and off, but he's still able to shoot that three-point ball. He's a very versatile defender as well. He can guard the centers, he can guard power forwards, he can guard small forwards. So he's a very quick-footed center. I know he's not a traditional center, but still very impressive what he can do on both ends of the floor. And I think it's fair to say that the Raptors got a really good one in Precious Achiuwa. Now let's talk about Thaddeus Young, who we received in that Goran Dragic trade. Now, personally, I wasn't too thrilled with that trade because obviously we gave up a first-round pick, and obviously Goran Dragic did not play for us. I know a lot of Raptors fans, including myself, had really high expectations as to what we could receive for Goran Dragic. Now, Thaddeus Young is one of those players that's not going to absolutely stack the stat sheet. He's not going to fill the stat sheet a lot, but his impact goes a lot deeper than the stat sheet. You're seeing some of the confidence he has instilled in some of the younger guys like Scottie Barnes, like OG Anunoby, and Precious Achiuwa, who in particular has looked very confident ever since Thaddeus Young has come onto the Toronto Raptors. And there was even reports out there that Fred VanVleet is referring to Thaddeus Young because he is that veteran on the Raptors squad. So he's not only helping the young guys, I think he's that voice, he's that mentor that the Raptors desperately needed. And of course, they needed some help off of the bench as well, particularly in that small forward position. He's capable of playing multiple positions, which fits in so well with the Raptors scheme of what they're doing this season. And I think it's fair to say that the move made by Masai Ujiri, trading Kyle Lowry to Miami Heat for Precious Achiuwa and Thaddeus Young, which is the final, trade piece we got back in the Goran Dragic trade, it's fair to say that we got a pretty good return for Kyle Lowry, who's obviously doing very well in Miami as well. Now let's talk about the other moves that he made this offseason, which weren't very significant, if we're being honest. We did re-sign Kem Birch. We re-signed Gary Trent Jr. as well, which is absolute a steal of a deal when you take a look at it now. Of course, I would have liked the terms to be a little bit longer, but it's fair to say that the Raptors got a really good one in Gary Trent Jr., not only in terms of how much you're paying him, but just how well he has looked this season as well. the Raptors have just really surprised everyone with their play because Gary Trent Jr. wasn't known for his defense, but he's really playing well on the defensive side as well as on the offensive side as well. He had that one game where he scored 44 points. I think a lot of the people around the league start to take notice of how great the Raptors' developmental system is and just how underestimated Gary Trent Jr. is as a player overall. So I think it's great to see what the Raptors are doing with Gary Trent Jr. He's top 3 or top 4, I believe, in steals per game in the entire league. So it's great to see what the Raptors are doing. And of course, you have our two guys, and Pascal and Fred VanVleet as well, who are just leading the squad very well. There's a lot of questions about the Raptors heading into this season. And personally, I did not understand them because they were being led by two guys who were just entering their prime at 27 years old. And Pascal and Fred are playing like all-stars. Pascal should have been an all-star, but he's putting up some very impressive games. He's averaging 22 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. That is just enormous. And he's also shooting the three-point ball really well this season. And he's doing it on the defensive side as well. So I think that's the most impressive thing for me personally as a Raptors fan, seeing him play great defense and do well on the offensive side as well. But just in terms of some of these moves that Masai Ujiri made, these very minor moves, and we all started to joke about it in the offseason. Every time the Raptors signed a player, it seemed like they were signing a 6'8" plus guy. And we kind of just joked around with this and ran with that joke this entire offseason that the Raptors are probably going to sign someone who's 6'8". And they, of course, went with the small ball lineup of these really tall defenders who are capable of switching onto different defenders and playing multiple positions. And of course, the Raptors did not have a center, which was my main issue going into this season. But it looks like the Raptors are doing very well with the small ball lineup. Now, ultimately, I think that will be put to the test, not only in the playoffs, but if the Raptors do run into a team like the Philadelphia 76ers, who, of course, have Joel Embiid. So, again, we'll wait and see how the end result is at the end of the season with the small ball lineup, but it has looked very impressive. The Raptors are just running and gunning right now. They're getting a lot of steals. Their transition game is absolutely amazing. And I think it's fair to say that no one should have doubted the Toronto Raptors, especially when you have someone like Masai Ujiri at the helm. And of course, that is not to mention Nick Nurse as well, who is such an underappreciated coach. I know he's won Coach of the Year, but people had seemed to forget that he was coaching the Toronto Raptors with all of this talent, and the wonders he's done with the Raptors is absolutely fabulous. I mean, let's not forget that Nick Nurse was the first one to play box and one, which was mocked by a lot of players, not only from the Warriors side, but even the Raptors players after that game. They were asked by reporters about box and one. A lot of them chuckled, including Kyle Lowry, when asked about it, and said he hadn't seen that since high school. And of course, the following season, we have seen a lot of NBA teams implement box and one. So I think Nick Nurse, as a lot of us Raptors fans like to describe him, as an absolute mad genius. So I think the Raptors have looked really impressive, and they have proved a lot of naysayers wrong when we talk about this whole notion that the Raptors should have been rebuilding. They should blow it up, trade Pascal Siakam to a contender. And I think it's fair to say all of those talks are behind us, and the Raptors are sitting very nicely at 5th spot in the Eastern Conference. So it's been a very impressive season for the Raptors. They have about 3 games to go in this season. So let's see where they end and who they play in the playoffs. So it'll be a fun series, and I think they're just one of those teams that no one wants to play in the playoffs. But I do want to ask you guys, what are your impressions of the small ball lineup? What were your expectations heading into this season with the Toronto Raptors? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, guys, I do have a trivia question for you today. And that trivia question is, which of these players leads the league in mid-range field goal percentage? Is it A, DeMar DeRozan? Is it B, Seth Curry? Is it C, Chris Paul? Or is it D, Carmelo Anthony? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video, guys. So I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.